everybody, and welcome to episode 79 of Community Service Hour. Today discussing primarily the European backdoor. Going a little deeper than last week as part of our 3-week series, this is week number 2, on regulation that requires backdoors into smart contracts. And we'll be coming to you across Europe. And some other topics.
Hey, thanks, Bill, and thanks, Daniel, for taking this call. So, intelligent supply chain, I think it is possible to implement on Ethereum layer 2 solutions with both privacy and transparency at the same time. Basically, it's like hottest water and coldest water in the same bottle. So, a couple of questions on this one, William. Is Scope 3 the only primary thing, or are the supply chain vendors, are they really interested in tracing and recall at all?
Scope 3 is it. So Scope 3 is the requirement to track carbon emissions entirely through your supply chain. This is also affecting with some rules from the SEC. Disclosures are related to climate. Now, there's basically, it's all about the disclosures. Companies really don't care about this. Only industries care about this. It's really expensive to do right now. People are not seeing a competitive advantage. They don't disclose it. So right now here I've got a bottle of water. It's got the minerals inside. It's got no other disclosures on it. Really the only thing that matters is what is required. A level further down from this is shareholder activism. And a lot of these proposals will include stuff like emissions tracking. In the 2020s, you will see some of these getting voted yes. And you will see some steward like Fidelity or Vanguard just say, you know what, we're going to vote yes to all these.
So do you think a small startup would actually be able to implement it and sell this thing? Or do you think big players need to be at the table?
You can sell it, but no, you just be early.
Are there any other startups doing the same thing? Or are we the only one thinking about this right now?
On blockchain, yeah. I mean, we have a whole episode on this.
You didn't get to finish what you were saying about the hackathon and the AI implications, which I'm really curious about.
Yeah, so we started off with the intention of saving babies. You remember Abbott Labs last year, they had recalled baby formula. And that thing, actually, when I was sitting on a couch, I saw it and I was like, wow, my supply chain solution can actually solve this thing. We could actually save babies' lives. So that's what we went and actually proved it. And it seems that we can actually issue a recall within 2.2 seconds to the end user, all the way from the supplier to the end user. But the question is, are these companies really interested in doing so? Right? That's the main question for viability. And as William pointed out, adoption is the key. So what I wanted to make is that when you make software disappear from the back, from the user's perspective, that's when software becomes mandatory, like iOS. You're not interacting with iOS anymore. You're interacting with the apps. So that's the model that we were thinking and said, you know what, how can I make Web3 and AI disappear in the back and let them use the apps that they're using to do just the business. Like, just do invoices. That's it. Everything else, I call it as HTML for supply chain. We're kind of inventing HTML for supply chain. So that may be the thing that we could do. That way, all wallets can implement that and get on the platform itself. So that's why I wanted to talk to William and find out if there are any people that are already done it, if they have done it, what is the challenges that they have, what has happened to the adoption. Adoption is the key because B2B, you may fail or survive just because of the adoption. It doesn't matter how big the problem is, how better the solution is. If you don't have discoverability and adoption, it's not survivable.
Right. And in B2B, there's a lot of just institutional momentum.
Exactly.
To bring changes, to bring innovation.
Yeah, there are teams working on it. And William is actually typing in the doc. He's saying that this is a very popular question. It's the top 3 question we got right next to what happens if I lose MetaMask key. And the second question that I have, William, is layer 2 versus Near protocol. I happen to cross paths with the Near protocol team. They're really interested. They seem like they're interested. Do you see any difference in terms of going with layer twos versus near?
And whichever one gives you more money.
The way I'm thinking is it's more about adoption. So one of the key questions that I got was like Coinbase proposition is layer two, and we make it adoption easy. What are your thoughts on that? That's true. End customer does not know the difference. That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think I have a better answer now. And if you ever get a chance to connect with some of the companies that specific industries that you know, if you put it in a Twitch, this event or something, links to that way I can research more. That would be awesome. Thank you very much, Daniel and William, for all your help, and you're absolutely great. And I forwarded your link to many of my folks. You can see us soon.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yes, but also it's good to know that to be live with you and, with the people who I care their ideas.
I think the live interaction means a lot. That's why I've been getting up at like 5:30 it's Wednesday for me for the past, I guess, like year and a half now. We've been doing this.
Let's go into a little bit of slides here for today. This is talking about European regulation requiring backdoors in smart contracts. This is codified with the Data Act. We talked last episode about how it's required, what the rules are. We're going to just assume that this rule is in place. And so now the question is, how do you deal with that? How do you practically put a backdoor in a smart contract? Like, what does that actually mean? And then next week, you get into a more advanced discussion on how do we do federation across different governments. First, you have to make a backdoor. We looked at a wallet last time, but you definitely want to use something like, quote, a DAO for this. If you have any backdoor in your smart contract, you do not want to have one key. In crypto, there are keys. We're using public key cryptography. That means there's a secret, there's a password, there's a seed phrase, and then there's a public account. If your seed phrase is lost, then not only can the other person use it, but they can impersonate you. So that means that you can't change it after it's lost. Losing your key is a major problem. When FTX went to bankruptcy, suddenly they lost hundreds of millions of dollars because somebody stole it. Well, how did that work? Well, because the person just leaked the key. So you don't just lose hundreds of millions of dollars unless you want to, right? So we're just assuming that was SBF just stole his own money. That's the running assumption, right? Is this where a real company, when your assets are seized and you go into bankruptcy, you remove your access and you give access to the bankruptcy court in receivership. So that's how a real company works, not a fraud like FTX, allegedly. Also, something like OpenSea, we covered how OpenSea has a backdoor. Previously, the backdoor was run by a single account. That one person could just take any assets that were minted on OpenSea. This has since been improved a little bit, so they have a wallet that does it, but they still effectively have control. So when you create your smart contract, don't be like OpenSea, don't be like FTX, don't be a fraud. Instead, you should use something. You should basically use Gnosis Safe or something like it, where you can put keys in and take keys out. You don't want to give government a key and then give yourself a key, and then money's lost, and you don't know which one of the two of you took it. So in all cases, you want to have access control that is not a private key.
Yeah, that seems obvious.
So about the backdoor, you're putting there again another key to there, but as a private key, backdoor key, right?
This could be a one of two key. So this could be full access, or better, this could be specific access. Like the owner might have access to mint, but the government might have access to burn or freeze. Yep. And that's the important part, is you want to know who's using which key. Going a little deeper than that, here, even inside of the government, you want to have more access control than that. You want to have more transparency. You don't want to just have one government key. That would be unacceptable too, because then if it is used, we don't know who in government used it. Instead, it should go a level deeper. The way that the United States Treasury works and the way that the US government sends money is the same way that a business sends money. There's different departments, there's treasurers, there's accounts payable, and they have different levels of access. And then inside of that, you have more levels further deep. So that is the main slide for today. That is the whole breakout of the level of accountability that is required when you're using smart contracts. When you have anonymous actors, a lot of money, and no accountability, the result is SBF. That is what you get.